Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining in today. We're going to be talking about RevoHub's, free sustainability courses that we are looking to, introduce and implement, for all the business executives. We are committed at RevoHub to simplify the process of, process, or you call it a journey of sustainability, implementation of it. And through simplified series of courses, we are trying to make our executives understand what it means, how to apply, and how to execute these strategies. And, close the gap between the strategy and daily operations, corporate commitments to measurable KPIs, as well as regulatory expectations, what to expect, and how to how to uh, actually execute them on a practical level. That said, allow me to start sharing the document with you. Today's introduction to our very popular course is on environmental, social, and governance ESG strategy, reporting and operational execution. And this is for non-experts, from corporate intent to measurable action, how to get things done. Having said that, we all know that the world is changing, the market is changing, and the government and regulatory bodies push towards more greater climate action is quite evident. Having said that, organizations, businesses are looking to commit to ESG goals. Now, they have been doing that, but execution is breaking because that is breaking at the operational level. And I'll tell you in this introductory session today where it is and what is the gap that is happening, that is occurring. Now, having said that, managers are expected to deliver ESG outcomes, and you know how can they do it if it is without clarity, if it is without tools, or without a framework? That's why at RevoHub we are committed to simplify the journey towards sustainability. um, Through our simplified series of these Revo Finance courses, we aim to close the gap. And close the gap between what? The ESG strategies and their daily operations, corporate commitments to measurable KPIs, and regulatory requirements or expectations, practical execution. So all of this we're going to talk about today. Now, myself, as I said, my name is Zahid Junejo. I've been, in the global market for over 3 decades. I've worked with financial institutions across the globe in North America, Africa, Middle East, Southeast Asia region, and I've done, business to consumer sales and leadership strategies. I've developed billion-dollar portfolios, and I've led high-performing teams into such ESG implementation and development of these strategies and implementation of such strategies as well. Now, basic question is why? Why this course? ESG, in a financial point of view, and keep yourself with the finance aspect in mind. ESG in financial industry is no longer a strategy problem. Strategies everybody are developing and everybody is making. It is the execution. That's where the gap happens. That's where the ball is being dropped. Commitments are increasing, execution is failing, and we see managers are lacking the tools to implement, to run, to evaluate, to execute the such strategies. That said, let's look at a few numbers. Um, the ESG adoption matrix, this is on a global level. 90% of S&P companies, S&P 500 companies are now publishing ESG or sustainability reports. They are all trying to have this done. It is up from 20% a decade ago, right? 40 plus trillion dollars have been, are in the assets which are being managed under ESG strategies. And, and this is again, as I said, this is on a global level. 75% of global institutional investors factor ESG risk into investment criteria. So now the capital flow is also being decided on this front. 70% of executives report the ESG expectations have increased faster than their organization's ability to execute. And we will see further. LinkedIn also says, if you look at LinkedIn ranks ESG skills among the fastest growing capabilities worldwide, especially for all of us, people like the managers, the operational leaders, the finance adjacent roles, and supply chain and procurement professionals. All of these professionals are looking at ESG knowledge, ESG based skills, how to understand them, how to implement them, how to manage them. Now, looking at that, if you look at regulatory ESG requirements, they are becoming more and more stringent and more demanding. And if you look at all of the regions that I'm mentioning over here, North America, MENA, South Asia, Caribbean, I mean, they have these strategies being implemented, sorry, not strategies, these regulatory requirements being implemented and demanded by regulatory bodies from those businesses and regions. Said, okay. Now, one interesting fact I'd like to tell you, I just recently came across this report from World Economic Forum, and they're talking about, the annual energy transition index. They manage about 118 countries around the globe and their progress. There are three countries that are innovating their ways into clean energy. First one, China. And now, the reason why I'm telling you this is you have to, as a finance officer, as a finance manager, a CFO, controller, whichever position you look at, you have to understand, why am I saying this? The potential of the profitability potential, the business potential, the revenue potential, and how they have done it, how they are doing it, how are these countries able to generate that much of revenue, that much of opportunity, that much of business within themselves. Now look at that. China, it has the largest share of energy patents globally. Okay. In 2023 alone, it was home to 1,200 plus of the world's 4,000 new energy startups. Imagine the investment flow. Again, we are talking about capital flow going here and there. So these are the regions where you're looking at. China also makes about 70% of planet's electric vehicles and leads in battery production as well. So the BYDs of the world, Teslas of the world, you see, where are the opportunities lying? Germany, it is an early leader in offshore wind and solar power energy. 39% of its power generation comes from renewables. It also boasts a leading number of patents too. Half of them target the energy storage and electric transport, opportunity. Third country, Brazil, a key innovator amongst emerging markets. Again, they realize the importance, and that's why they're going into it. Global leader in biodiesel production. In fact, what they are doing is they are producing a new biodiesel capable of replacing fossil diesel. So there you go. They saw these opportunities. They, prepared their strategies. They developed themselves. They upgraded themselves, and then they are now implementing it. Energy Transition Index rates countries on their performance in energy security, equity, and sustainability. So this is what our main, theme of this today's subject is. How is energy transition progressing in your organization, in your business, in your country, in your region? That's what the financial leaders have to think about. How am I going to get the pie of a share of this pie? Okay, that's why I wanted to share this with you. Now look at this. Who is this course for? For mid-level managers, functional leaders, senior leaders seeking ESG clarity or fluency, and we don't need any financial background, right? The reason is that these are people who are going to be understanding what is needed, understanding how the strategy is being developed, developing those strategies, executing it, monitoring it, delivering it, and based on that, putting it up on the dashboards and all. Now let's look at that as well. Now we are going to decode that. Three phases. Environmental, obviously we are looking at emissions, efficiencies, what have you. Social, workforce, individuals developing their skills and all. Equity, where is the, equity or the interest or the capital going in? Governance, what are the regulators asking? How are we delivering that? Are we capable of delivering it or not? What are the gaps that we have? Who's accountable? How are we going to do that accountability, implemented, overcome those gaps? and execute those strategies. This is what ESG is all about, right? Now have another look at this. ESG as a strategy, if we as organizations, decision makers, financial experts come up with, are measurable, regulated, and performance generated, right? Look at the CSR, the corporate social responsibility. It is a voluntary initiative. So can you imagine if I focus on ESG, deliver it, I'm partly covering this corporate strategy as well, right? Corporate social responsibility as well. However, it doesn't become voluntary anymore. It is measurable, it is regulated, it is performance oriented, it is showing me on my dashboard what am I doing, and it is giving me the investors, it is bringing in the investments, it is bringing in opportunities, it is giving me skilled workers, and I'm being more successful. So ESG affects valuation and capital access. So what is the value of your organization after this? You can think about. That said, who cares about ESG? All of our, what is in it for? I mean, who are these people who are looking at how effective are we on our ESG strategies? Our regulators, our investors, like I said, customers, employees, everybody is looking at this. Just think about what Brazil, Germany, and China are doing, and how their all these four sections, regulators, investors, customers, employees, are feeling when they hear about how successful they have been, right? Look at this. What regulators are expecting from companies. They are expecting consistency, transparency, traceability, accountability. How are you guys doing this? Role models, right? And telling those organizations, guys, you've done it, replicate it, help others to implement it also. And how consistent are we? It's just not, a one-time thing that we're doing. How consistently are we developing our strategies, implementing them, making it more efficient, making more revenue oriented, plus also regulatory, requirements are being met, plus ESG basic needs are being fulfilled by our strategies. And how transparent are we? Reason is, why are we failing? Too many matrices, right? Weak operational linkage. Strategy is there, can't operate. We don't have the technical forces for it, or resources for it, or the capital for it. So we need to generate that and develop that and implement it. Greenwashing, just by, this is a risk. We can't just go to the regulator and say, oh, we are doing it. And here on paper, we are doing it, not having actually done it. And again, who is going to be responsible for this? Previously, and I can assure you, organizations have failed in this. They had a unit or a team or a department working on ESG strategies. The rest of the business was running as usual. Unless and until we have each and every member of an organization take ownership of these strategies, run with them, implement them, monitor them, execute them, deliver them, and bring in those results, it won't work. So that's what we're trying to tell you over here through these courses. What makes a strong ESG KPI? Again, understanding how it is defined, owned by a function, in the sense that, all the employees, all the departments, wherever it is being implemented, know about it, own it, run it. Reviewed regularly. How are we performing against our strategy? What have we achieved? What are the gaps? What are the gaps that are going to be fulfilled? What are the deficiencies that we have? How are we going to improve on those? And then it has to be business relevant as well. That said, what is your, strategy to KPI flow? Again, top to bottom approach. Corporate goal, function, KPI, and review cadence. You look at it in any which way, top to bottom approach, bottom up approach. If you have this strategy there, done. Now, why ESG skills are in demand? Again, go back to China, go back to Germany, go back to Brazil, and see the executives over there, the people who are running this and implementing this, who are operating these strategies. How much in demand are they? People are asking for them for jobs, and they're offering, fantastic numbers, whether it is Middle East, whether it is US, anywhere. Why? ESG roles are growing globally. right? Execution skill is scarce, so in demand. Strong career differentiator. If you know this, you are in demand. Workforce needs outpace, demand. Workforce needs outpace demand. Obviously, because if we are going similarly, all other competition, all other organizations, all other industries are going for ESG strategies and implementing them. If we have that skilled resource to implement it, we are blessed. People who don't, they will be hunting our skilled resources, and vice versa. That's why in demand, right? What is this strategic reality? They are not rewarded. Organizations or businesses are not being rewarded for having ESG goals or strategies only. They are being looked at, reviewed by regulators, and being analyzed at how operationalizing them, measuring them, defending them under scrutiny. And this is why ESG capability is shifting to from sustainability to line managers, from reports to dashboards, from vision to KPIs. Actual happening, it is being seen, and the results are being seen and experienced. That's what they are trying to, and this course is going to try and explain to you. It's not an additional responsibility, ESG. It is a new context in which leadership decisions will be made or are being made. Our organizations, are going to review individuals, units, teams, business units, departments on ESG capabilities, ESG implementation, ESG strategies. All of these angles will be looked at. And leaders who succeed will not be the ones who know the most about ESG. They will be the ones who can translate ESG expectation into reality, operational outcomes. Now, in the end, all I have to say is it's no longer a future consideration or a compliance exercise. It is now a core operating lens. It is the need of the time for organizations, for businesses to go in and implement this and run these ESG strategies, manage them, monitor them, deliver results, right? Why am I saying this? Because these strategies, once implemented, once delivered, will bring in access capital, will bring in how to bring in talent which will manage your risk, which will attract talent across the globe, which will make our businesses remain competitive around the globe. This is why the ESG strategies and their implementations and the resources that are doing it are important. That's why we need to look at it as a core operating feature for every business. What we are witnessing on a global level, we've just seen this. I've shown you examples on if you look at it on a country basis or region basis, China, Germany, Brazil, I've mentioned territories, whether it is North Africa, America, North America, Middle East, North Africa, South Asia, any other region you can talk about. Even Caribbean is now very actively into this. Plus the fact that, you know, we talked about the governments, we talked about the regulators, we talked about businesses, we talked about individual experiences, skilled labor moving into different locations, delivering those experiences, those thoughts, those ideas, those strategies, those implementation tools, explaining it to people. So it becomes not as just a ESG as reporting feature, it becomes as an execution tool. ESG is now as execution. So we need to be careful on that for our organizations, for our businesses. I would urge you to look at this and review this and try and register for the full course. This is a 2-hour executive level course, equips managers to and leaders with the practical framework to translate ESG strategy, regulatory expectations, like I said, and sustainability commitments into measurable operational KPIs across the organization. Right? You will move beyond just reporting to execution. That said, let's stay connected. Thank you so much. I hope this was useful for everybody. Everybody have a good day. Bye for now.